Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest Field Team 6 strategy briefing. I'm Dale. I'm COO of Field Team 6, and it's so good to see every one of you here tonight. For those of you who have been working with Field Team 6, a big thank you for everything you've done, are doing, and will continue to do. As you know, we have only 3 paid employees. You are Field Team 6. Did you know that we've more than 37,000 volunteers work with us since 2019? It's true. For those of you just tuning in, we could use you. We'll put links in the chat so that you can find all of the ways. We are a volunteer army on a mission to register Democrats and progressive independents where we need them the most. We are able to do anything we set our minds to. Tonight, we're going to talk about all that we've accomplished together in the 24 cycle, what we've already done this year, and our big plans for this cycle and next. In 2000, I was producing a show for MTV and I hired a writer named Jason Berlin. I couldn't possibly know then that in 2016, he'd quit his career in the entertainment industry to found the one and only partisan voter registration organization that works every day of every year in battleground states and flippable districts nationwide. He called it Field Team 6 because we go behind enemy lines, like SEAL Team 6, to do the hardest work to register folks where they're needed most. Here he is, Jason Berlin.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dale, the hardest working man formerly in show business. And if you think the similarities to James Brown stop there, you're sorely mistaken. I am Jason Berlin, founder of Field Team 6. Our mission is register Democrats, save the world. So welcome, heroes. We are going to need every single one of you if we're going to save the world again and make it stick this time. Okay? To do this, we need 2 things, hope and focus. Here's why, despite the darkness, a clear reading of the present moment fills me with hope. We have a president who is trying to be a dictator. He has not succeeded. Fascism is rising, but so are peaceful protests and activism and opposition at all levels of society. And in so many ways, we are seeing that pushback is working. Trump's approval continues to shrink. Our ranks continue to grow. Activists across the country staged one of the biggest protests in history, No King's Day, with 5 million people earlier. And this October 18th, 9 days from now, we all have a chance to break that record. The courts continue to push back against the deployments of the military and 100 other illegal things Trump is doing. ABC, after caving to fascism and suspending Kimmel, found something that scared it even more: the collective action of all of us in a boycott that cost them $4 billion. And welcome back, Kimmel. And I don't know if you believe in miracles, but the Democrats seem to have found a spine, refusing to rubber stamp the brutally cruel Republican budget and demanding healthcare not be ripped from millions of people. These are all signs of hope, but here's the most important thing I see. And this is answering the question that we all have on our minds. While we know attacks on democracy are here and they will keep coming and we will keep fighting them, elections continue to be real and free and fair. Not only that, Democrats continue to crush them. So do not be gaslit by the media, who almost never report on the resistance through a combination of fecklessness, misogyny, because the resistance is almost all women, right? And willful ignorance sponsored by the billionaire media owners who would rather not publicize that we exist. We know we exist. We know there are millions of us across the country, and we know this resistance was responsible for the unprecedented parade of election victories for the 7 years leading up to last November and the 11 months since. Almost every election since last November has swung to the left by 8 to 25 points. So I'm asking you, if we keep going like this, how can we not win in 26 and 28? So that is why, while acknowledging all the horrors in the news every day, I am filled with hope that we can get through this crisis, just like we did when we beat the Confederacy, when we beat the Nazis, and we beat Russia in the Cold War, right? The current president is aligned with those three forces, the three biggest forces who have sought to end America, the Confederacy, the Nazis, and Russia. But remember, we beat all three. We can do it again. But it's not just hope that will win. It's hope and focus. Focus is power. And I am super proud that despite the black clouds of bad news that come out of the White House every single day, all day long, Field Team 6 has stayed focused, kept our heads down, and has kept registering Democrats every day, week, and month of every year. Why do we do that? Because registering Democrats is the most effective, most overlooked way to win elections. It is the shortest road out of this nightmare. It is the fastest road to our progressive dreams. Campaigns are not the solution. Campaigns fight a battle. We change the battleground. Campaigns fight for a vote. Field Team 6 fights for a new voter who will give them that vote, but also vote for Democrats up and down the ballot, some of them for the rest of their lives. Campaigns spend millions of dollars on consultants and TV ads that leave nothing behind but bad memories. What we leave in our wake are new blue voters, the human infrastructure who will continue to push these swing states and districts bluer over time. So our work is cumulative, cycle to cycle. We build on it. The vast majority, another thing I'm going to say about the importance of voter registration, partisan voter registration, like we do uniquely. The vast majority of grassroots organizations, the campaigns and the Democratic Party, from national to local, do virtually zero voter registration. Almost zero, okay? They do get out the vote work. They mobilize existing voters. That's very important, but that's not 100% of the work. That's about 50%. It's like no one's had the birds and the bees conversations with them about where a voter comes from. They don't just appear. A stork doesn't drop them. You have to make them. You have to register them. So that is what we are here to do. And we are the ones feeding the entire get out the vote beast. We're feeding more Democrats and progressive independents into that ecosystem where people get out their vote. So it is fact-based hope that fuels the fight, and it's evidence-based focus that turns that energy into electoral victories. And it's your volunteering and donating that will literally save the world like it has before. So tonight, you're about to hear what we've done in 2024, what we've learned since then, which is a lot, the huge things we are doing now, and how you and your support will be decisive to election outcomes in 1 month, I think less than 1 month, 27 days in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and California. Your support will be decisive in taking back the House next year and stopping MAGA cold, and in taking back the Senate, White House, and democracy itself in 28. So today, we are, besides what we're doing, we're also going to try to raise $5,000. That will be a huge help. What $5,000 will pay for is 2,500 mailers, which we have found in the last cycle were super effective in getting people to register to vote. Physical mailers. $5,000 would also pay for 1 month of an on-the-ground organizer in a key swing state like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, who would help us be a force multiplier for all our voter drives there. So whatever you can contribute, we'll be dropping those links in the chat periodically, all the time, for how to donate, how to volunteer. Those are the major ways to help us. Okay, and now, pop quiz time. All right, I have one very important question for you. And the first person to answer this correctly in the chat will win a premium, extra comfy Field Team 6 t-shirt. Okay, So we got 264 people right now competing for this. You got your typing fingers ready? Okay, the question is, what is Field Team 6's mission?
I'm watching the chat. Oh, wait. Whoa.
Oh,
I gotta scroll back. Now there's a whole bunch. I believe it's Corwin Godwin. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. There's too many people here. Uh, it's Melanie. Melanie, it's registered Dems. 5:13 p.m. It looks like she got in first. And Jason, while I DM Melanie to get her address to send her a t-shirt to, can you please make Patty a co-host?
Absolutely, yes. Darby can do that. Thank you so much. And
No, she can't. That's why I'm asking.
We can't. You have to. Sorry.
interesting. That's a terrible feature. Yes, I absolutely can right now. Yes, so if you can't find Dale in your DMs, email him at Dale@fieldteam6. Let him know your name, address, and t-shirt size. And Patty, you are now a co-host. We got a lot of great answers. I like the typos of people trying to get it out as fast as possible. Adria Ann writes, "Save emocarchy." I know what you mean. That works. If that were the first one, we might have gotten it. We got voter registration. That's a good one. All right. Thank you. And thank you all for paying attention. You would be shocked at how many people don't understand. They're like, you're a get out of the vote organization. No. I mean, a little bit, but no, we register Democrats. That's what we do. Thank you for paying attention. Okay. So, Patty, may I begin the lead up ceremonies to you?
Don't do lead up, Jason. It's just embarrassing.
I'm just going to say for an in-depth look at the long-awaited 2024 impact reports, laying out all that you enabled Field Team 6 to achieve in the 2024 election cycle with all your volunteering and all your donating, all your organizing. This is what you did. I'm going to hand this over to the brilliant Patty Crane, one of the core members of our roundtable steering committee and the leader of our analytics team. She brings to our efforts her over 30 years of experience and insight as CEO of her own communication firm. And she is not only really one of the smartest, most insightful people I know, but she pulls more all-nighters doing Field Team 6 work than all the college students we register each year. She's a total gangster. So one note, we will be sharing the link to the full impact report slide deck toward the end of this hour on Zoom if that works out. And we also will share it in the follow-up email. So you don't need to worry about taking a ton of screenshots. You can just immerse yourself in it. All right, Patty Crane, everyone.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm just so glad to finally be able to report these results. It's been such an eventful year, and we're all just staggering through it. But there's always good news underneath some of the scary things that we're all dealing with. I have my own personal good news. I always start by telling you I do this work, and I love this work because of my granddaughters, Stella and Claire. And I just want to say we were blessed after 5 long years with a grandbaby for my son Jordan and his wife Allie. And Vivian Faye Crane is 6 months old and thriving. And so now I do this for 3 granddaughters. And I am so blessed to be able to protect our democracy and work on revitalizing it through Field Team 6. It's a thing that you can just really enjoy and be proud of. Now I'm going to try the share screen and see if it's going to let me share. And please tell me, have you got my share screen? Okay, cool. Well, we know what our mission is. We know it's register Democrats and save the world. That much we know. And what we want to remember is the longer definition, although Jason gets the one that's the shortest and easiest to remember, is that we are one of a kind. We do partisan voter registration. And by the way, you know who does the partisan voter registration on the other side? The person who had the big contract for that work over the last 8 years was Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's organization, and Elon Musk funded it. So you need to understand who we're up against as opposed to our army of grassroots volunteers, which I much prefer. So we find millions of elusive, unregistered likely Democrats. We do it through strategic data modeling, and we reach out year round, 24/7, 365, year after year after year. We don't just have this pop up inflatable voter registration thing that happens 6 weeks before an election. We do it all the time because it matters. And we want to bring people onto the voter rolls because there are thousands of organizations that will get out the vote when they know the name of a registered voter. There's us who will work on finding these elusive people, these unregistered likely Democrats, because their names aren't anywhere. And we have to use every possible trick in order to find them. So that's pretty important. First, some context very quickly. People don't always know this, but good God, the DNC, the Democratic National Party, terminated year round voter registration funding because of budget pressures 2 decades ago. Simon Rosenberg talks about this all the time. To me, that seems unbelievably short sighted, but that's what they did. And they said, look, all the issue organizations will do it, and all the nice nonpartisan groups like League of Women Voters will do it. So we don't have to do it. So there we can save money. Oh my gosh, I'm not in agreement. But in the last 2 cycles, this is so scary. The traditional nonpartisan voter registration organizations, they've had an 87% drop in productivity. This is coming from Jeremy Smith at Civitech, someone we respect. He's citing the independent voter registration reports that he's privy to and part of. The old pipeline has absolutely broken. Sometimes it's a new CEO, sometimes it's funders withdrawing funding, sometimes it's a change of mission. But so many organizations backed out of just doing that nonpartisan stuff where they got a third Republicans, a third Democrats, and a third NPPs, like if they were in California. So that's really scary. So we're used to this awful red versus blue thing, and we loved the Biden 81 million versus Trump 74 million, and oh, how painful. Harris at 75 million versus Trump at 77 million. I'm sorry, I'm re-traumatizing everybody. I apologize for that, but I can't help it. Here's what we got to look at, though. The winner in every national election since 1996 is not a Republican and it's not a Democrat. That is the honor that goes to did not vote. And it's so irritating to figure that out. People who are on this broadcast, of course, we care about it. We always vote, we always do everything. But it turns out lots and lots of people, in fact, 82 million this last time. So non voters have outnumbered the winning vote share in every election since Bill Clinton's second run. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what did we do? We do data modeling, particularly since the pandemic, to find the likeliest Democrats among unregistered, because we're not trying to trigger Republicans. This big did not vote program, there's 20 million who are registered and didn't show up, but there's another 62 million who are unregistered. And part of those are our people, and boy, do we look for them. So last time in the midterms in 2022, we were high on what we were able to do. Everything that we learned about digital cold outreach during the pandemic, because it was all we could do. You couldn't do live in-person voter drives. We weren't sure what was going on with data. We did phone banking and some other things, but we really, really scaled up our digital. So we reached out to 5 million people, 1.57 million of them registered as blue or purple. And wow, 2/3 of a million of them voted in November 2022. We didn't love the turnout rate of 41.8%, but we said, okay, they're new voters. So let's hope that it goes differently. And you might ask, what do we mean by a blue or purple voter? There are many states who don't report the party affiliation of people. And so we have to do some extrapolation and calculations because we don't want to take credit for any Republicans that accidentally got um, registered as part of our list. It's a very small proportion, but we get the red out before we report these numbers to you. Whereas purple voters who are like in California NPP, they often vote our way, but they don't identify or don't want to receive the mailings and the text banking and stuff of being a Democrat or a Republican. So young people particularly sign up often as NPP. Okay, so that's what we did. These are the numbers we needed to beat, but how much could we scale up? All right, so we had a goal. We wanted to scale up to 10 million. We wanted to double. That's the hubris of Jason Berlin, who always comes at you with a grin and says, "Oh, don't you think we could do that?" And your job is to figure out how we can do that. And with the intrepid Dale Roy Robinson and Corey Alpert, we have an amazing situation where they do figure out how to do it. Okay, so here's the weird thing for us. We said, okay, let's get after it. Let's try and raise the money to do this and try and raise the volunteer army to do this to get to the 10 million. And then the data vendors ran out of names. We only got to 8 million names and they flat out said, "We don't have any more names for you." So this is what ignited our own data modeling using consumer data instead of political data from the political vendors. And it was kind of amazing in order to find unregistered likely Democrats. We looked at a lot of consumer behaviors, not just political behaviors, to say, how can we find more people who look like this? And because we had done such a careful job of tracking everybody that went through our digital system in the midterms in 2022, we had what we called data buckets where people could say, yeah, I want more who look like these. So they could study those people to within an inch of their life and say, okay, we can find some more people who look like them. And it was very exciting. I want to shout out my analytics team for working with the vendors and thinking that through. It's so exciting. And that helped us have a breakthrough. So we were trying to go from 5 million to 10 million. Oh, look what happened. It wasn't just 10 million. Hello, we got all the way to 25 million. We had some of we had the 8 million names we already had, but we were able to buy another 17 million names, and we got there to 25 million, and we got to every last one of them. And I give the incredible credit to everybody on this call and to your friends who did so much work. Okay, so 90% of the names that we acquired were in these battleground states, and we got to these people an average instead of 1.9 times like we did last time, we got to them 3 times, 3.1 times, even though instead of 5 million, we had to get to 25 million of them. So you can imagine how busy Field Team 6 volunteers have been doing these things and staff. Okay, so wow, 45 million texts, and I want to shout out Deb Verla and the BYOP folks who have it. It's called Bring Your Own Phone Free Texting, because 8.5 million of those were BYOPs that didn't cost anything because some clever people wrote some software that made it free. It's hard to do, but people stuck with it and they did it. 31 million emails, 2.5 million postcards, and that's a lot of writer's cramp and a lot of creativity and a lot of postage. And yes, there were 200,000, more than 200,000 phone calls too. So that's our thing. And just want to say that the volunteers did a lot of the text banking, all the phone banking, and all the postcarding. And our staff strategists crafted and targeted the emails. Corey Alpert and Jason are particularly savvy about getting the exact right emails, say, out to Florida when the Florida Supreme Court makes a new decision or something like that. So it's a really admirable, agile, immediate way of responding. And that's what we do. So how'd we do? We got 6 million registered as blue or purple. I wish I knew how to do that confetti thing on Zoom, because now would be a good confetti time to do that, except I've never bothered to do that. So 1 in 4, it was 24% registered as blue or purple. And yes, there were some other people who registered. Actually, we got 29.9% registering overall, but 5 and change percent of them were Republicans. So we took those out of our number because we don't want to count them. All right, so I'm going to explain these heat maps to you a little bit, because you can only buy so many names in some places. Like, hello, South Dakota. There's not very many unregistered, likely anybody's in South Dakota. Yes, and so you have an issue. But this is the counts of the people in different states. And of course, in the dark blue colored states, what you're seeing is really whopper numbers, basically over 500,000, and Michigan got all the way up to 720,000 people registered in Michigan. But, I'm also really proud of the 97,000 people in Iowa. Oh my goodness, that's actually kind of amazing. Or even the 1,556 people in Arkansas, because we had a few names there and that was the thing. So just in case, and I realize that you don't have time to find your own state here. And some of the states, my own state, I'm not that proud of. Our yield in California is really, really tough, really, really hard, because we only worked in California in the purple districts that the California Grassroots Alliance that I work with targeted as the sweep 6 districts that we needed to flip. And we got 4 of them, but not 6 of them. Only 16% yield of registrants in California, partially because it's already so easy. So the only people who are left are difficult registrants. But then again, look at the yield in some other places. Oh my gosh, 32% in Texas. Texas is not a red state, it is a voter suppressed state. And this is proof of it, that 500,000 people that we reached out to stepped up and registered as blue or purple. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to look at the yield ratios. And you see that in plenty of places, that's the neglected states where you get these incredible, incredible ratios. It's just amazing and terrific. And we're proud of these too. And it's really important. And there's so much to be learned from these kind of places. And in a tough cookie place like Arizona, 21% might be bad, but in Arizona, it's really, really hard to do that work and have people feel comfortable identifying as Democrats. So this is an example of how that works. So these are the states that are above the national average, and just read that word above in the header there. And okay, here's 13 or 14 of them. And these guys are still above the national average. And then these next states are at or below the national average. And we're not going to stop and look at these. I feel sad. I have a wonderful, beloved friend, Leslie, in Kansas. And I feel really sad that the Kansas rate was only 7%. Because in Kansas, they make it not okay to identify as a Democrat, even though the governor is a Democrat. So I do know that you'll be able to look at these later. Okay, so how many people voted? Oh, yes, more confetti, please, because 67% of these people voted. Much, much better than the 41% we had in the midterms. And that's true because typically it is better. 2 out of 3, 67% voted in November 2024, 4 million. Okay, so here's what it looks like, because in some states, the voting ratio wasn't as good. In other states, can you see Wisconsin there? Oh my God, if in Wisconsin you say you're going to vote, you vote. Look at that. Just a huge ratio. It's just amazing. Okay, so how did that impact the Senate races? Well, look at that little yellow line here over on the right. You see that Ruben Gallego won by 80,000 votes. How many votes are correlated with Field Team 6 outreach in Arizona? Oh, 214,000. So that's at a 266% ratio. Okay, let's take a look at Nevada. That senator was Jackie Rosen running for reelection. Her margin was only 24,000. Nevada is such a tough state. And we didn't put lots of voters into that state, but I'm proud of the 64,976 that are from our list that correlate with Field Team 6 outreach. And no, we're not causal, we're only correlation. All right, let's look at Wisconsin. Okay, it's starting to get scary down there over on the right-hand side, getting thinner and thinner. 28,000 was the victory margin in Wisconsin. And of course, we can be proud of our almost 400,000 new voters that were put into the Wisconsin system. And we reached out to a ton of people in Wisconsin, even though they've been working their hearts out on everything for years with really good direction. So here is the scariest one. Can you even see that little yellow line, Jason? I don't know. Maybe you can't see it because it's so skinny. This is Alyssa Slotkin's margin of victory. It's 19,006 people. Oh my gosh. And, we reached out to 2.4 million people in order to finally get a yield of 465,000 voting in November 2024. And hello, that was 2,450% of Alyssa Slotkin's margin. So we think that that shows something. All right, here we come with some new kind of information. And I want to shout out Sharon Lord Greenspan and the postcarding team, because this time we learned a lot from our postcarding and our other work in the 2022 midterms. So this time we focused our postcarding on people where Dale would go out to the data vendors and he would give them millions of names and say, find me an email address or find me a cell phone or find me both on these people. And the data vendors would come back and they would find a lot of them. And then they would come back with another list and say, these people are not findable. The only thing we see on them is a home address. That's all we've got. So what Field Team 6 did is we had 818,000 people for whom we had no email, we had no cell phone. All we had was that home address. And for those people, oh my gosh, they were reachable only by postcard. We sent them a postcard or two or three or even more. But anyway, almost 1 in 3 of these people, 32%, registered as blue or purple. And then a very high ratio of them voted. Look at that, 80%. So Sharon, you and the postcard team need to be just proud and happy because these postcards are becoming relevant again with these elusive, hard to find people who aren't getting a million fundraising texts because they're not even on the list. They're not on the voter list and they're not on the email list or the cell phone list. Okay, so here is the queen of states for postcarding, not for our other efforts, but for postcarding. Oh my gosh. So in Pennsylvania, we had 263,000 people where we only had a home address. 60% of them registered as blue or purple. And Pennsylvania reports the party affiliation, so we know exactly what it was. And then 90% of those voted. Are you realizing what an impact that is in Pennsylvania? Boy, we need to really be proud of what that says. That's so good. Okay, so data scientists keep asking us, can Field Team 6 prove who caused these registrations? That's what the data scientists keep asking us. And so we performed a series of randomized controlled trials to explore correlation versus causality with Field Team 6 outreach. We went into 5 states. They were all tough states, really tough states, but they report. We went into Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Later on, we added Maryland because there was a contested Senate seat, and Maryland also reports by party. So we only took states where we could do the metrics on party. We only used cold digital outreach. We only used the bulk emailing and the bulk texting. The digital outreach was customized for the people in that state or in that region, but it was still so-called cold, as opposed to a handwritten postcard is warm. An in-person voter drive is even warmer. A phone bank is warm if it's done well. And all the other kinds of things like showing up at Pride Day and state fairs and all the other things, those are warm. Those are real touches and real communication between people. But this was a test of cold digital. And the basic answer is no, we can't. We cannot prove that Field Team 6 was the cause of these people registering. In fact, we had 3.5 million people who got the outreach from Field Team 6, and we got 500,000 people who were the perfectly randomized, magnificently matched, perfect, wonderful, amazing. Dr. David Nickerson advised us and helped us with this and did a statistician's dream of randomization on like a zillion variables. It was just amazing. So that we had these beautiful, beautiful comparison groups between the outreach and the control groups. And guess what? The outreach groups and the control groups yielded the same. Now, an interesting thing is when we outreach to our legacy data, the old names that we've had from years past, we got one yield that wasn't so good. It was between 15 and 19%. And when we did the reach out to the newest data after our data modeling, it came in much higher and much better. But still, the control group and the treatment group had the same results. So, what we have proved is our data modeling is absolutely fabulous, and people may or may not be caused by Field Team 6 to take the behavior of registering to vote and then voting. But we know that we're part of the mix. And we have to understand that this is social science, not pure science, like the randomized controlled trial for a drug study. And that's the best we can do. And we're always transparent. And we wanted it to say, oh, yeah, the people you texted and the people you emailed came through at higher rates. But that wasn't the answer. It was no, the new data came through at much higher rates. But the people, whether we reached out to them or not, they came through at the same rate. Okay, I just have a little more information to share before I'm done, and that is, well, what did all this cost? This time we spent 1.5 million per year, except we didn't really spend it per year. It all piled up in the election year, 2024. But our total expenditures were $3.1 million. And of course, that's all public information on the Federal Election Commission website. Well, what did it cost per new registrant for those almost 6 million registrants we had? Oh, a big old whopping 52 cents. Hello, when you just take our 3.1 million and divide it by our 6 million, you get to 52 cents. And then, okay, so let's say, what about only the 4 million who actually voted? Not just the people who registered, even though we're not a GOTV organization. We are a voter registration organization is trying to put them in the pool so other groups can do GOTV. Anyway, 79 cents was our cost. In the slides you'll look at, you can take a look at which states report party affiliation and which ones don't. It can be really irritating sometimes to figure out who do. And here's an example of how we get the red out because that matters. But I want you to know that these slides will be uploaded and live on fieldteam6.org. But I want to hear more about what's going to happen when Field Team 6 pays attention to what we're learning more and more from the various studies that are happening and the thinking that's going on about how important it is to understand that warm outreach works better than pure cold digital outreach. And here is my warm handoff.
Thank you for the warm handoff. I have more about what we learned from the RCT and how we're adapting and changing our outreach techniques. But Patty, thank you so much for that super thoughtful, in-depth, powerful presentation. And again, we will be sharing the link to the full impact report slide deck towards the end of this hour on the Zoom if we can, but definitely in the follow-up email. So you will be able to see everything, including our report on the RCT. So about that RCT study that we did this last cycle. First, what a victory to successfully plan, execute, and analyze our first major randomized controlled trial, all while doing a record-breaking amount of outreach to 25 million unregistered likely Democrats. If the question is, could you have reached more? The answer is no. We could not find a single additional unregistered likely Democrat in any swing state or House district across the country. That's all we were able to find, 25 million. So incredibly proud that we did this RCT while doing that. We expected the study's results to be incredible. And yes, it was painful when they were not. But the most valuable studies are the ones with the answers you don't want, because that's where the learning takes place. So I am super proud that Field Team 6 ran the study. I'm proud that Field Team 6 asks important questions and uses science to get answers. I'm proud that Field Team 6 is the most, by far, radically transparent voter registration organization in the country. And I'm proud that unlike some national parties who will remain nameless, but who rhyme with Schmemocrats, a Field Team 6 learns from our experiences and changes and adapts and grows. And of course, while we have made and continue to make significant changes to our outreach in light of this study, the whole story of our impact as an organization cannot fully be told by any one study. And that's where the rest of the 2024 impact report comes in. The eye-popping numbers of what Patty just showed to you. We contacted 25 million unregistered likely Democrats. After our outreach, 6 million registered, 4 million voted. That is huge. What that tells me is not only that we conducted the largest digital voter drive in history. I can't find one greater than that, a greater scale. But the only organizations that even come close to that are nonpartisan, meaning they could easily be registering as many Republicans as Democrats for a net benefit of not that much. The impact report tells us there is no replacement for Field Team 6. No organization is even trying to do what we do. So we will keep doing the biggest things and taking the biggest swings. And that brings us to the present election cycle. So let's talk about what we've been doing for major elections this November in Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and now California. Two of our outreach programs that have been going like gangbusters all year. In particular, I want to highlight. So here to talk about the first one is a member of our Roundtable Steering Committee, the funniest member of Field Team 6, which is saying a lot. And among many other things, our Field Team 6 postcarding team lead, the incredible Sharon Lord Greenspan.
Now I have to be funny. Patty's tough act to follow. Thank you, everyone, for your incredibly hard work. Yes, I am Sharon. I lead the postcarding team. I am so proud of our amazing volunteers who never stop, never stopping. So this year, supposedly an off year, although of course we don't have off years anymore. Our volunteers and partner groups have sent over 100,000 postcards to Pennsylvania, over 78,000 postcards to Virginia, and over 135,000 postcards to New Jersey. And as you heard in Patty's presentation, in 2024, 1 out of 4 people to whom we sent a postcard registered as a Democrat or independent. So that's 25%. And that is a huge. My son heard me rehearsing and he was like, if you say a huge, I will be so embarrassed. So I had to say that is a huge. Anyway, just remember that when most organizations send postcards, they're sending get out the vote postcards to registered Democrats, but we send voter registration postcards. And ours go to curated lists of unregistered likely Democrats who crucially cannot be reached in any other way. These are people who, as Patty mentioned, are invisible to the system because they are unregistered. And so we believe that this is part of why postcards have been so effective for us, because for the people that we're sending them to, this is literally the only political messaging that they may be getting. So if you are a postcarder with us, thank you so much. Please keep it up. And if you'd like to join us, click the links in the chat to find out more. Back to you, Jason.
Thank you so much. Thank you for leading one of our most effective and beloved programs. Keep those.
It's a huge.
It's a huge. Did I do it right? I will never say that again, I promise. And keep icing those wrists, everybody. No carpal ice and elevation, no carpal tunnel allowed. And now we're going to hear about another one of the most important things we do, our free BYOP texting program. Huge shout out to the masterful tech team who keeps this platform going in spite of every obstacle. And to give us this update, it's another member of the Roundtable Steering Committee. She is a trainer by profession and one of the most patient, unflappable, sweetest people in the world. It's our free BYOP text banking team lead, Deb Verla. What's a good word, Deb?
Yeah, I got lots of good words for you, Jason. So everybody, BYOP is our own homemade free texting platform. And although the name is supposed to mean bring your own phone, now you actually need to use a computer with an anonymous Google Voice account. You don't really use your phone anymore, but we'd like the name. Texting is one of the key ways that we register new voters, but texting is also way expensive. So a few of our most creative and really smart volunteers, thank goodness we have smart volunteers, they created this free texting platform. And though it takes a training session with me to master it, thousands of you already have, which is great. Google Voice puts lots of restrictions on us on how many texts each person can send. And that's why I'm proud to say that last week, our volunteers, as of last week, our volunteers have sent over 1 million texts just this year. Through ingenuity and sheer perseverance, mostly perseverance, we've contacted 1 million unregistered likely Democrats in swing states for free. So let me tell you what that means. That's 123,000 texts into Wisconsin for the Supreme Court race that we already won. 235,000 texts into New Jersey, 231,000 into Pennsylvania, 123,000 into Virginia, 116,000 into Arizona for the midterms, and about 172 texts into various swing state House districts all across the country. So, BYOP isn't perfect, but it takes less than 15 minutes a day once you're set up. Thank you to everybody, whether you've spent 1 hour or if you've spent thousands of hours already sending these texts. It's 15 minutes a day to save the world. That sounds like a pretty good deal. So let's keep going. It's working. Back to you, Jason.
Yes. Over 1 million free texts. That is a huge. That is, sorry. It's serious. That's amazing. It's stunning. Over 1 million. That is testimony to Deb's incredible training and having the patience of a saint, and also the perseverance of all our volunteers. It is free texting. It feels free, but you don't stop, just like Deb. So amazing. Keep going. And now it's time to look ahead to the next crucial year. And so here's some of what we've learned and how we're adapting to that in order to grow so we can, save our democracy. Field Team 6 started in 2019 as an all in-person voter drive organization. In 2020, about 2 weeks after Dale joined us, not the usual thing that happens when you start a new job, COVID happened. And that forced us to go completely digital. And we found huge success in that outreach. Now, for the first time in this election cycle, we are pursuing maximal efforts through both digital and in-person outreach. We're going to fight as hard as we can on both those fronts. So one lesson we're taking from the extreme chaos of last cycle is that in the explosion of disinformation, the noise sometimes overwhelmed the signal. So here's how we're going to try to cut through the noise on the digital front. We are fine-tuning our outreach efforts through postcard, text, and email by refining and refreshing our data to make it more accurate than ever, by experimenting with different types of scripts to cut through the noise, real short scripts, easy to read scripts, funny scripts, angry scripts, locally targeted scripts. We are adapting the great success of social pressure scripts in get out the vote efforts for the first time, adapting them to voter registration efforts. We're using warmer touches, as Patty was talking about, including text scripts that encourage conversations and interaction. And we're exploring more relational organizing techniques, including, besides the more conversational texting techniques, expanding our social media push into the world of WhatsApp, where we find a lot of the key demographics who we need to reach the most. And by partnering with the Swipe Blue app is another way where you can register everyone in your contact list on your phone. We'll also be adding, I ran out of fingers. We'll also be adding a significant direct mail outreach component based on its success last cycle and following up those mailers with warm texts and warm emails. And those are all pretty huge changes to our digital outreach. But let's talk about the biggest change of all, which is on the in-person side. In-person voter drives were our specialty since the beginning. Now, for the first time, we are channeling our 7 years of organizing expertise and scaling wisdom and focusing our full organizational might on building the largest national in-person voter drive campaign in history. We're calling it the Great Registration Race. We have spooled up 12 teams to support every voter drive a volunteer puts on the calendar. So I won't go through all of them, but here's just a little bit of what that means. Each volunteer who steps up to lead a voter drive will have a Field Team 6 concierge reach out to them and hold their hand throughout the journey. It'll be their single point of contact with Field Team 6, making sure they have everything they need. They'll get a free voter drive kit in the mail, a physical box with everything they need, clipboards, voter forms, pens, stickers, even a t-shirt. The point is to make it fun and make them guilty if they don't do it, because this is a no excuses box. This has everything you need. We will promote the living daylights out of each drive to recruit more volunteers. We'll follow up after to find out how it went and refresh your supplies. We'll have a private concert party on Zoom each month to reward all our national drive leaders and build community at an event called Drive Stars. And we will register at least 100,000 swing state Democrats and progressive independents, in addition to whatever our digital efforts yield. The part of the amazing appeal of in-person voter registration is you don't need an RCT to figure out your net new voters at the end of the drive. You just count the number of forms in your hand. So we are, the biggest problem with in-person is scaling it up. That's a problem that is ours to solve, and we are going to hit it out of the park this cycle. So our outreach, of course, depends completely on the donations we're able to raise and the volunteers we're able to rally, and when in the cycle, those things happen. I remember in the 2022 midterms, no real money came in until about the end of August, which was terrifying. And we are super agile pivoters. We act super quickly. We can put the money into the field to do effective things whenever it comes in. But the earlier it comes in, the better, because persistence is the greatest engine of change. A little at a time, little registration at a time produces a mountain of new voters in the end. So to that point, let me just announce that so far 34 contributions have come in since we started this call. We have now, we had the goal of $5,000 for the night. We are now up to 3,240. So thank you so much.
Are you counting the recurring donations? Because we also have received 3 recurring donations, and recurring donations are super helpful. So please add that to the total.
That's right. Yes, that is included. 32.
Great.
We're up to 3240, 3265. Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so much. 35 contributions. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Let's hit 5,000, which is 1 month of a paid organizer on the ground, or 2,500 mailers, voter registration mailers. Thank you. Every single thing helps. Every single thing counts. And the more you can help, the more new Democrats we can register, the more elections we can win. I need to say, we also need your help volunteering. We always need volunteers to take our training and lead your own voter drives, but also for the more introverted, if you hate dealing with people, we need you too. We need you to help out behind the scenes on any of those 12 teams that support all our voter drives. So please go to all volunteer ops, that link that we're dropping in the chat repeatedly. Click on help backstage, and just say you want to help somehow behind the scenes. We'll reach out to you and let you know all the different ways. So what I would like to know now, I know we're going a little bit over. Thank you for bearing with us. I'd like to open it up to Q&A, see what you think about all this, answer some of your questions. So please, in the chat, just type ask in all caps, ASK, before your question, however you spell it, I don't care. And so we can easily see it. And let's get everyone back in here for the Q&A. So it'd be great if we get, yes, Dale, Patty, Sharon, and Deb, drag them back in.
Yes, the first ask is, where do I get an excellent hat like the one behind you, Jason?
Have to ask Sarah Jekyll, who gave that to me long ago. I have worn that on hundreds of voter drives. The sweat stains are not included. Gross. So, I would say look up any place that is not Amazon or Target, and you can probably find one.
We have a question. Can we still use Voterizer to register voters at protests?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you can. Yeah, it remains a super helpful tool. Voterizer.org, fastest way to register a Democrat. Thank you, Peter, for dropping that in the chat.
By the way, so if you go to our website under resources, there's a pull down menu that is called printable tools. And that's a catch-all for all kinds of things. Flyers you can hand out at protests. You can put a lock screen on your phone to help register people with a QR code. Of course, you can go to our store. You can get t-shirts and caps that have QR codes on them to register people. Anyway, yes, protests are a great place to register folks. And don't believe that everyone who goes to a protest is already registered. That may not be true. There are lots of people that are getting engaged now because of the fascism that's happening in front of our very eyes that have not been under normal circumstances. And that means that they may not be registered. So now's a great time to ask.
There are always unregistered people at protests. Is a great place to go, because also you don't have to screen. You don't have to, try to make sure you're not registering Trumpers. You just say, hey, registered. Everybody registered to vote here? Anyone not registered to vote? Just go through the whole crowd. Yes. Oh, interesting question from Jen D. I hear people interpreting the RCT like there was no impact. I think it means more like if 10 people pay you a compliment, you can't prove which one made you smile. It all helps. That's
I
beautiful.
love that.
I'm
I
gonna
love
use
that.
that. That is very elegantly said. Um, uh, is that a good interpretation? I would say that's terrific. I mean, that is it. There's correlation. What we can't say is that Field Team 6 alone did this. We can't say that out of the 25 million people we contacted, 6 million registered and 4 million of those voted, blue and purple, Democrats and independents. We can't say we alone are responsible for that. We absolutely can say we were part of their voter registration journey. So and that's very important. So yes, that's exactly. If 10 people pay you a compliment, you can't prove which one made you smile, but it did all help. Love that.
Melanie asks, how does consumer info tell us who are likely Democrats? This is a question really about like how does our modeling work? It's a great question. How do we find data on unregistered likely Democrats? And Patty is raising her hand because she has a perfect answer.
Oh, that's really funny. Set up. Adding consumer information really made a difference because the political vendors don't have that many attributes of a person. Whereas when we added consumer modeling, we could take a look. We also did correlations. Dr. Kamala Tate is doing a study for us right now on the ZICTA districts. That's a zip code. Little tiny units because there's a tight correlation between density that people live in and proclivity to register. And we know that, but we see that. But it's education levels, it's gender and race, it's completion of different educational levels, it's acquiring this, that, and the other electric car or not. And it's not all markers because many of the people that we go after are living below the poverty line. So it isn't all just fancy rich people stuff at all. It's just the markers of people who tend to cluster like that. So the consumer information just gives us a better profile. Some of it's inside of a black box, an algorithm, and we go to the data vendor and say, okay, throw all of your consumer attributes into this. Look at these buckets of 3 million people and 1 million people, et cetera, that we gave them last time. And we said, find out anything, and if they all subscribe to a certain magazine or, use a certain brand of hair coloring, I don't care what it is, as long as it helps us find them. They are so elusive. So we know that our data modeling is getting richer and richer. And I have just resurrected the file, and I won't waste your time on it now or spend your time, but I would say that one reason we know that is that our yields from our newly modeled data were just so much better than our yields from the old legacy names. So yes, we are using all the tools at our disposal, and then we still have to be human beings and think it through like human beings have to do. That's our job also.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's the question from Diane. For those of us not in swing states, how can we best support those drives in swing states? And which states are priorities right now? Jason?
Oh, love it. Yes. There are so many ways to help out remotely. You can postcard, you can text, you can join our social media storming. If you're talking about helping the actual in-person drives,
Donors.
What was that?
Donors. Yeah, we need donors because we're sending a voter drive kit to every drive leader who sets up a drive in those swing states. Those cost real money. They're $60 each. We send them forms, clipboards, stickers, a T-shirt for the drive leader, everything that they need to set up a drive. We have our concierge team hand holding them through the whole process, and then we have all of our behind the scenes infrastructure to help promote it and get more volunteers there. But yes, if you are willing to donate some money to buy voter drive kits for a swing state and you're not in a swing state, that would be huge. That would be
That is
amazing.
absolutely huge. Yes. we will, yes, just slightly scroll up. There it is. There's that link again to donate. Thank you so much. Also, I just want to say, as far as where we're targeting, I'm dropping a link to the Drive Scout web app. It's basically a website that I put together. Very proud. I will only spend less than 1 minute on this, but Drive Scout shows you where your closest swing district campuses are. College campuses being the best places to hold voter drives. So just with a push of a button, bring, there it is. I'm in LA. This is the closest district, repped by George Whitesides, Democrat, who we need to keep in there. But let me just scroll out, zoom out to the entire country. These are the swing districts, 61 swing districts across the entire country. Don't forget Alaska, that's one district. But these are all swing. Voter drives are absolutely needed in any and all of these. So there are not wherever, but in many, many places across the country. If you're not in one of these swing districts, you're very close. And this button right here goes to where you are. So you can, you can center the map that way too. All right.
All right.
Question.
Let me see if there's one more question we take before we wrap it up for the day. We like to keep it to an hour. Otherwise, Zoom starts sucking the soul out of your bone marrow. It's been proven. Becky says, confused about RCT data. What does the percentage voted actually represent? Number of new registrants overall who voted or something else? Patty?
The percentage voted is how many of the registrants that Field Team 6 reached out to, and then we checked whether they registered, and they did register, and we also checked whether they voted, and they did vote. So it's our name. It's not a representative of a big group. It's a representative of our group of names of people who registered as blue or purple with the red removed, who also voted. So that's what you're seeing. It's just ours.
I'm going to wrap it up with one more question, and then Jason, I'm going to ask you to take it home. So the last question is, the people that we contact that do not register, they stay on our list to continue to contact, right? And the answer, Barbara, is yes. The short answer is yes. In fact, that's one of the things that we do every year is we run all of our data against the voter tables or voter rolls in all 50 states, and we find out who's still unregistered or who has been moved into the registration pile. And yes, we keep reaching out to those people and of course adding new data to that as well. But that is exactly how we find people who might have fallen off the voter rolls as well. Maybe they got purged, maybe they moved, etc. But anyway, doing that refresh regularly is how we know that they're still unregistered. And so we can reach out to those people yet again in multiple ways, and now with even more warm touches. Thank you everybody for being here. There's 183 of you who still stuck it out through all of this, even 13 minutes after the hour. Thank you so much. Jason, take us on home.
Yes. So, excuse me. I have an announcement to make. You all, okay, let me refresh this. To make sure I'm getting the right numbers. We are currently, our goal for the night was to raise $5,000. Let's see, 67 contributions have now gotten us to $5,905. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means a huge amount. We know how difficult it is right now. It means even more. And there is no better bargain in politics than Field Team 6 and the Democrats we register in swing states and districts. So thank you so much. That is fantastic. So to wrap this up, a few weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be one of the featured guests for Field Team 6's first ever fundraiser in New York City. It was in the Village. So I got to, feel like a Bob Dylan revolutionary type. So sweet. It was a kind of a lifelong dream. And as soon as the event ended, I walked outside and my phone gave me the news that Kimmel had been canceled. I walked around the village for about an hour, nauseous at the new fascist threshold that had just been crossed. I wound up in Washington Square Park. The sun had just gone down. The sky was still light. There was music from a boombox. It was a perfect temperature. Fountains, skateboarders, someone in the distance juggling glowing bowling pins. I heard people speaking Spanish, French, Hebrew, some other language I couldn't identify. People of all races, young people gossiping and making fun of each other and laughing, old people walking dogs. This is how every foreigner in the world dreams that America might be. But this wasn't a dream. This is real. I was there. I was not just observing it. I was part of it. And just the beauty of that struck me. Like, this took hundreds of years to build, this multicultural democracy where we're not just peacefully coexisting, we're living our best lives woven together like muscles and bones in one body politic. The park was filled with Americans. And though Washington Square Park is a special place, there are lots of special places all across this country, and they're all filled with then Americans. What does an American look like? Like a human being from anywhere in the world. We are that big. We are that open. We are that beautiful an idea. And in lots of places, a lot of the time, we are that beautiful a reality. So that kind of powerful beauty is worth fighting for. So stay hopeful, stay focused, and keep fighting the good fight. We will see you on Field Team 6 Zooms. We'll see you at the voter drives, and we will see you on the streets on No King's Day 2, October 18th, 9 days from now. Mwah. Love you all. Thank you for being here.